This video will teach you how to have difficult conversations so you can become a more effective leader. You'll learn the 5 things that you can do to prepare for, initiate, and hold a tough conversation on any topic. So what's the first step in learning how to have a difficult conversation? Don't avoid or delay it. Commit to discussing the issue within a specific time frame. Avoiding tough conversation will just hurt your relationships and create other negative outcomes. It may not feel natural at first to have the discussion, especially if you dread discord, but you can learn to dive into these tough discussions and talks by reframing your thoughts on having difficult conversations. So how do you prepare for the discussion? Here are 5 things you can do to prepare for, initiate, and hold a tough conversation on any topic. Number 1, begin from a place of curiosity and respect, and stop worrying about being liked. Conflict avoiders often worry about their likability. While it's natural to want to be liked, that's not always what's most important. Instead, lean into the conversation with an open attitude and a genuine desire to learn more. You want to start from a place of curiosity and respect, both for yourself and for the other person. Genuine respect and vulnerability typically produce more of the same: mutual respect and shared vulnerability. Even when the subject matter is difficult, conversations can remain mutually supportive. So respect the other person's point of view and expect them to respect yours in turn. Second step is focus on what you're hearing, not what you're saying. People who shy away from conflict often spend a huge amount of time mentally rewording their thoughts. Although it might feel like useful preparation, ruminating over what to say can hijack your mind for days. And tough conversations rarely go as planned anyway. So instead, take the pressure off yourself. You don't actually need to talk that much during a difficult conversation. Instead, focus on listening, reflecting, and observing. That's how you have a difficult conversation that gets real results, by enabling mutual understanding. So for example, if a team member has missed another deadline, approach them by asking neutral, supportive questions. I see the project is behind schedule. Tell me about the challenges you're facing. Then listen, pause, be interested and proactive. Gather as much detail as possible. Ask follow-up questions without assigning blame. Your genuine intention and neutrality actually encourages people to elaborate. So use every statement the other person makes as an opportunity to mirror back what they have said and to validate that you understand them correctly. Number 3, be direct. Address uncomfortable situations head on by getting right to the point. Have a frank, respectful discussion where both parties speak honestly about the details of an issue. Knowing how to have difficult conversations starts with this step. Talking with people honestly and with respect usually creates mutual rewarding relationships, even when conversations are difficult. Now, there are situations, however, when you should consider cultural or personality differences. Now, let's say your culture is conflict avoidant or doesn't value directness. You can still engage in challenging conversations. In those cases, shift your approach from overly direct to a respectful, affirming, back and forth conversation. For instance, if the person you're talking with seems to not be picking up on what you're saying, ask them to repeat their understanding of what you shared. As they reflect back what they've heard, you can adjust your message to make sure the conflict is moving toward resolution. This communication style creates an open but less threatening type of directness. And this is how to have a successful, difficult conversation when your culture discourages confrontation. Number 4, set a time. Instead of putting a conversation off for some time in the future, an ideal time when it can be more easily dealt with, tackle it right away. Get your cards on the table so you can resolve the issue and move on. How often is your response to conflict something like this? I don't want to talk about it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not worth arguing about. If you're always promising yourself that you'll bring it up next time it happens, well, now's the time. Do it now. Now, it might seem risky to come right out and say something, but often that's just what is needed. Give yourself or your counterpart a bit of time to cool down if necessary. Set a time when you'll meet in private for the discussion, and then plan the general outline of what you want to convey and consider the outcome you desire. Then you have the conversation and you make a plan for moving forward. After all the mental gymnastics of endlessly practicing conversations in your head, actually engaging in a two-way conversation can be inspiring, respectful, and productive. Number 5, expect a positive outcome. You'll struggle to follow this advice if you continue to go into a conflict telling yourself, this is going to be a disaster. Instead, tell yourself this will result in an improved relationship. Focus on the long-term gains the conversation will create for the relationship. When you focus your attention on positive outcomes and benefits, it's going to shift your thinking process and inner dialogue to a more constructive pattern. As a result, you'll grow more comfortable approaching the coworker who constantly criticizes and complains, or the subordinate who keeps underperforming. Don't ignore the conflicts you're encountering in your work life today. When the opportunity presents itself to provide unsolicited feedback to a difficult colleague, or give a less than positive performance evaluation, you want to summon that courage to address the conflict head on. I recommend my book, Difficult Conversations, Practical Tactics for Crucial Conversations. It's an excellent resource showing you how to have and be successful in having a difficult conversation so you can become a more effective leader in the workplace.